Great. Hi, Hunter. Great to see you. And it's great for all of us to be back.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Which one of you is moderating here? I want to make sure I pass the torch in the correct way here.
I'll moderate.
Okay, Carol, you're leading the way. So I'm so happy you're here. It's always a delight to see you. So a little bit about what's going on, and then I'll pass it over to Carol. So whether you're considering to return to the workforce or actively planning your next career chapter, refreshing your skill set is the success to relaunch. And we have this conversation with the iRelaunch team. We'll share expert insights and personal stories on how to strategically, and that's the key word here, update your skills after a career break. So, Carol, I'll pass it over to you, and I'm here if you need anything.
Okay. Thanks, Hunter. Hi, everyone. I'm Carol Fishman Cohen, the CEO and co-founder of iRelaunch. And I'm here with two senior members of the iRelaunch team, Colleen Olson, who's Senior Director of Business Development, and Sarah Mills, who's the Executive Director of Events, Marketing, and Operations for iRelaunch. And both Colleen and Sarah, and actually are all relaunchers. We're all people who took career breaks, long career breaks, and then made our way back to work. I went back first to an investment role and then started iRelaunch, and Colleen and Sarah actually relaunched their career at iRelaunch and have been here for years now. So we are going to talk about tips for upskilling, and also talk about some of the personal stories, our personal stories, as sort of jumping off points for the larger discussion. But before I turn to Colleen or Sarah to talk about either of their stories, I just want to set the stage here by telling people that when you're on a career break, you're getting ready to return to work, and you're thinking about upskilling, the very first thing you need to do is figure out exactly what you want to do all over again, whether you're going to go back to something exactly what you left before, something related, or maybe in a new direction, because that decision is going to determine all the rest of your decisions about your relaunch, the jobs you apply for, the people you talk to, and the type of upskilling that you do. So make sure that you take the time to reflect and figure that part out first, because then you'll make the most of your upskilling opportunities. So we want to start, I want to start by talking to Colleen and asking Colleen what strategy she used when she returned to work, and then we'll talk about some of those strategies in more detail. Colleen, do you want to start?
Carol. Hi, everyone, and thanks for having us today. I am happy to talk about my journey prior to joining iRelaunch, but as Carol mentioned, I too was in your shoes at one point and looking for my next opportunity. I took what ended up being a 15-year career break for childcare and elder care. Like many of us, I thought it was going to be a few years, and then one thing turned into another, and it ended up being quite a bit longer. So many times, relaunchers like me, when you're about to embark on this journey back, like Carol said, you have to first figure out what is it you want to do. I wanted to stay in the same industry. I was always in business development, but then also for some people that have taken quite a long break, you really need a way back in. You have to figure out your plan of what you need to do. And sometimes it seems like monumental. So I looked at it as a job. I had to first kind of pull back some of the other things I was doing. We all kept ourselves busy during the break, whether it's volunteering or taking care of people that needed you, whatever the case is. You had to kind of make sure you set aside time and treat it like a job, set up tasks, set up a schedule, and then really research. Like Carol mentioned, you need to kind of figure out what it is you want to do. Once you know what that is, you need to really kind of research how are you going to get your way back in. And that's how I found iRelaunch. We offer a roadmap that's a 5-phase program that helps you think about in very easy steps how to attack your journey back in, how to approach your reentry into the paid workforce. Another thing is you have to really be available to put yourself out there. We're talking about skills today, and you feel as though your skills from before might not be up to date. You might have almost forgotten, like, what are my skills from back then? Many of these skills haven't gone away. So utilize any of the tools you have access to kind of remind yourself that you are still valid, your skills are still valid, and take that time to figure out how to refresh them. I'll give you some examples for me. Coming from business development and wanting to stay in that area, I knew that Excel is needed, and I didn't use it a lot in my volunteering roles or in I did some consulting. So there's many free to low cost refresher courses to upskill yourself on something like Excel. CRM tools, customer relationship management tools, those weren't as prevalent back when I was doing business development years ago. So I started taking a few courses to learn a bit about those, so I would be ready for an organization that would utilize those. And you have to make sure that you're going to include these, whether it's a certification or whether it's just refreshing the courses. Make sure you're going to include that on any of your applications or be ready to talk about them in the interview. And then another part about putting yourself out there, I joined the iRelaunch community, which is free to join our community in order to look for opportunities specifically for people that organizations are looking for people that took a break. So the iRelaunch job board, for example, is how I found my current role. You have to upload your resume, your profile, and there is an easy way to put keywords like I'm looking for hybrid, or I'm looking for fully remote, I'm looking for something in sales, business development. And then you are given, when a new role opens up for an organization that has these keywords, it's sent to you. So you can find your next opportunity through that. But you have to be willing to put yourself out there. The one last thing I'll talk about is along the same lines of research and helping to upskill is our conference, the iRelaunch conference, which I think Carol's going to talk a little bit, or Sarah later, but it is an opportunity to learn from many people, and you're already doing it. You're here today at the Power to Fly Summit, learning from various experts in different spaces about how to put your best foot forward. The iRelaunch conference is another one where it's set up for talking with coaches that kind of coach you through how to get ready for that next step in your journey. Obviously, Carol has just wealth of information to share with everyone, and employers. It's great to hear from what the employers are looking for, which I think we'll talk a bit later as well. But it's just, you have to be open enough to listen. And even if you're not quite ready to start putting those applications in, or not quite ready to put your full resume in, you have to be open enough to start learning.
All right. Thanks, Colleen. That's a great overview. And first, I just want to step back and acknowledge how Colleen is looking at upskilling in a very broad way. So we might think of upskilling as taking courses, but it's also, in your field, but it's also, as Colleen's pointing out, maybe it's Excel. So it's not actually in your field, but it's like an office management skill that you need to have, or upskilling in terms of having conversations with people and learning about who's hiring. So upskilling can look very broad. I want to make the point about becoming a subject matter expert because we think this is one of the keys to a successful job search, to a successful relaunch, is once you figure out exactly what you want to do, let's say you want to go back to your old field, you have to take a deep dive. Like, I took an 11-year career break, and I think, Sarah, you took an 8-year career break. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Colleen took a 15 years. So we were out for many years. And when you are out for a number of years and you want to become a subject matter expert all over again, we're talking about a deep dive. And the reason we think it's so important is of course, it's the knowledge that you're going to gain, and I'll give you examples of the kinds of things that you might be looking to update. It gives you confidence. Once you have that knowledge, you're just going to feel more confident because you're going to feel more conversant and knowledgeable about your field. And then the sort of byproduct of that is that it allows you to have substantive conversations with people in your field or ultimately in interviews. So my background was finance. So I was looking at, I even looked at my old finance books. I looked at past transactions that I had worked on. But really, what I needed to understand was the language, the current language. What are the current acronyms? What do they stand for? What are the current products and services? How exactly do they work? Why aren't we using the old ones anymore? Let's see. Sorry, my computer battery, I have to plug it in while I'm talking, and I will do that. But what are the controversies in your field? What are the what are the newest developments in the field? Who are the experts? What are they saying? So I wanted to first highlight that, and then also talk about the idea of when you actually take a course itself, that you want to be potentially looking for courses that have a capstone project or a field study that are associated with them, because that capstone or field study can be a separate entry on your resume, separate from the course itself, and it's often the topic of conversation that comes up in interviews or other conversations. All right, I want to now go to Sarah, and I just have to say that I'm not in the US right now, and I don't know if I have the adapter, and my computer might go out. So Sarah and Colleen, you might need to take over. But Sarah, go ahead. Can you talk about your relaunch and your upskilling, and then
Sure. Of course. And Carol, hopefully we won't lose you, but if we do, Colleen and I will definitely manage. Welcome, everyone. So happy to be here. My name's Sarah Mills, and I run the events at iRelaunch, and I have done so since 2011. So iRelaunch was really in its infancy when I joined. They have been around since 2008. And then really from 2011, when I joined, we really started gearing up the conferences. And then, of course, in 2020, when we pivoted to virtual, our conferences exploded, went national. So we're very happy about that. But getting back to my relaunch, I took an 8-year career break, had 2 daughters, and then decided when my youngest was in preschool, kindergarten, I would start looking for work again. And really, the one word I want to focus on is networking, how to network with your tribe. And you might not realize what your tribe is if you haven't been in the workforce. So I thought about my tribe as my bus stop, those mothers or fathers who didn't stop working to take a career break. I thought about my tribe as my relatives. What were they doing? And especially, I thought about my tribe as people I had formerly worked with. And that's really how I relaunched. Did I relaunch? It was through a conversation I had with a former colleague of mine, talking about what I wanted to do. I kind of had my elevator pitch, and we went to lunch one day, and she said, the company I'm working for is looking for an events director. And I thought, okay, let me research this company a little and figure out if I'd be a good fit. Turns out it seemed like I was a very good fit. I later met with Carol, and the rest is history, 14 years ago. But really, if you focus on networking, I had a friend who once said 50 coffees with 50 friends. Just get out there and start talking. Talk to people about what they do in their career, if it's a career that you want to get back into. Look at their LinkedIn. Look at their path to where they got to where they wanted to be. and just make those connections. I advise against just going out and saying, I want a job, I'll do anything. We advise against that at the iRelaunch conference, and Carol may talk more about that, but really becoming a subject matter expertise, as she mentioned, on the company you want to relaunch into will help you with that journey. Colleen listed a whole slew of great tactics on what upskilling techniques to use, but something else I want to focus on, and as Colleen mentioned, is really making this job search a job. Block out time, block out meetings you'll have in the week, block out webinars or conferences you want to attend. Make it so you go to area of your house, sit down and do your job, looking for a job. And it takes a little time, especially where we are right now. The job market is tough, but don't fall victim to what you're hearing. You be you and be strong, and you will be able to relaunch. It just might take a little time. Carol, are you back?
I actually can't tell yet, so we'll see what happens. All right. I just wanted to jump to, because I want to make sure that we have time for this. I wanted to just jump to some of the questions that we have that we wanted to make sure that we covered. And one of them was that are there specific platforms or certifications or learning formats that we recommend? And I'm first think about college and university certification programs, continuing ed courses. Those are the ones that could potentially have a capstone or field study connected to it. For those opportunities that are free on Coursera or edX, those courses, it's okay to take the free version. Some people want to know, do I need to take the paid version? It's okay to take the free version as long as you complete the course. So that's the really important piece there. And then in your own profession, or you're going to find if there are specific certifications you need to have. If you are anticipating a future career break, make sure that if you need certain credentials, that you don't let them lapse while you are on career break. Sometimes you just have to pay a fee. Sometimes you have to take continuing education, but much better to be doing those things to keep it current than to let it lapse and then have to start all over again. So I also wanted to make sure that we emphasize that. And I know that one of the other questions was how can people showcase their upskilling on their resume or on their LinkedIn profile? And there are a few ways that you can do that. First, if you're taking courses, I wouldn't say if this is like you're taking an Excel course, I for sure take Excel or PowerPoint or other office management tools. But if you're taking courses that are relevant to your field, then you can actually put that at the very top of your resume, recent and relevant coursework, and list it out there. If you are applying to a career reentry program that requires you to take a career break for eligibility, then you may want to put that coursework under a career break heading. So you would actually want to call out that you took a career break from X year until the present, and then underneath that bullet point certain volunteer work that you've done. Maybe if you've done occasional consulting, you can put that in there. Don't worry if you haven't done any of that. If you've started to take courses, even if you're in the middle of them or just started them, you can put that as a bullet point underneath your career break category. But first and foremost, you want to demonstrate to those employers that you are eligible and that you are on career break. Otherwise, if you're not applying for those programs, put recent and relevant coursework at the top to highlight it, and then be prepared to talk about it. And that's another reason why some of these field studies are interesting, to talk about how you took what you learned in the classroom and applied it to a real problem that and someone was trying to solve. So, so I just want to cover those. Let's see here. Colleen, can you talk about some of you're in conversations with employers on a regular basis. These are employers who want to sponsor our conference at iRelaunch or work with us to create a formal career reentry initiative or program. So Colleen, can you talk about some of the skills that you hear employers are looking for right now, especially from mid-career professionals who are returning to work?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about organizations that are looking specifically for mid to senior level professionals. So let's say professionals that have had anywhere from 5 to 20 years, prior experience before their break. With that being said, they're looking for your past experience. They're looking for what you might know of or hear of emotional intelligence or EQ. This covers everything from how did you navigate tricky bosses to empathy towards coworkers, interpersonal skills. You really need to let shine in your discussion with the person you're interviewing with, or certainly on your resume, past leadership skills. They want to know your problem-solving skills, project management. There's lots of ways to figure out how to take skills that you've had at various positions, both paid and unpaid, and make sure that those look as transferable skills. So many times you can be overwhelmed because you will look at a job description and it has 15 items that they're looking for you to have. Most organizations, most companies want you to have several of them, but you don't have to have all of them. And there are many of those skills that are listed that you can find transferable from other roles. Another thing to make sure that you can kind of highlight is continuously learning. Like we're saying, Carol talked about where to put in your resume for making sure that everybody understands that you have been taking the time during your break to freshen up your skills and or highlight the skills that you've had in the past. There are many things that you have, if you kept your certification up, those skills haven't gone away, whether it's been a 2-year break or a 5-year break. But certainly in this landscape right now, organizations are looking for a well-rounded candidate, somebody that's going to bring leadership skills, problem-solving skills, in addition to, if there are certain roles obviously require certain technical aspects. If you have those in your background, make sure you highlight them, that you have those from however long ago, and or if you've refreshed them along the way. Planning and organizational skills would be another one that I've heard a lot from our various partners.
Thank you. I also want to mention that we recommend that people join Toastmasters, the organization where people are looking to develop their public speaking skills. And we often recommend this from a networking perspective because you're meeting other people who everyone has the same goal. They're trying to become a better public speaker, but most of the people are working. And so it's an opportunity to be in a supportive environment where you'll have conversations with people about, what do you do? And they might ask you, and you can explain that you are working to be, you're gathering information, you're becoming a subject matter expert again, if you want to get into this piece of it, but you can just say, I'm looking to return to work, and you can get very specific about what you're looking for. And that's another opportunity to have a conversation about it. And also at the same time, upskilling in a skill set that is going to benefit you. That's like an example of a transferable skill that can be applied in many situations.
I am just looking at the chat, and we actually had a question come in that I would love to pose to the two of you. So how to resolve the confusion around the changing technology and what that landscape looks like? Should I concentrate on core technology or jump to the latest changes like AI? What's your advice on that, Carol?
All right, that's a question that really depends on your field. So if you're in a technical field, then you need to dive in and really get updated again and understand that core technology. How is AI impacting various fields? That's a great thing to do research on, and also to potentially talk to former colleagues about and get their opinions. Of course, there is a ton of information out there, and we cover this too, and it's slightly off topic, but how to use AI in your job search. I know we'll be talking about that at the iRelaunch Return to Work Conference. We'll have our coaches panel address that directly with some very specific recommendations. But I guess the only other thing I'll say is, if you're in some sort of a coding field, you have an opportunity to create what is called a GitHub portfolio, which gives you the opportunity to show projects that you're working on and how you completed them. And it's sort of an archive of those. And that's a great way also to first really attack your technical skill set and force yourself to upgrade it, and then to have evidence about what that looks like and how you've developed it over time.
And if I could add to,
yeah.
I have talked to employers this exact question, where many employers are open to, if you haven't had the opportunity to learn the very latest technology, they understand you have the capacity to learn it. If you are, for example, Python from your prior roles, your prior history, they understand you have the capacity then to learn at this new company, XYZ company, the next round or the next coding language. So make sure you highlight the previous or the other types of languages or tech skills that you have.
Excellent. Thank you. Well,
Great answer.
Yeah, we only have a few minutes left, so should we maybe do a round robin for advice that everyone has, a parting advice to everyone?
I think that's great. Yes.
Who wants to start?
I will start. So, parting advice. So, my running these conferences, and when we were in person, and a lot of the emails we receive now, is just to know you're not alone when returning to work. There are so many people in your situation. So go out, find them. We have a free Facebook group of people looking to get back to work. You can come to our website. I know there's a colleague posting in the chat. I think she could probably put the link in there. But don't go at it alone. There's a community of relaunchers, so that is my advice. Get a relaunch buddy. Colleen, do you have any lasting advice?
I do. Same lines. Utilize all the tools that are there for you on the various platforms. From iRelaunch, Power to Fly, there's many opportunities to take great advice. And if you are applying for an organization that is specifically looking for somebody with a career break, make sure that you show that break, because you have to be part of the applicant pool. And if it's an organization specifically looking for somebody with a break, make sure you have that break visible on your resume.
Great. Okay. And I'll wrap it up by saying employers are really looking for people who are lifelong learners and who approach the world with curiosity. And so, when roles are competitive, which they often are, the person who is demonstrating that interest in upskilling in a range of ways, by taking courses and learning and having that conversation and demonstrating that also, of course, in your resume or in your LinkedIn profile, those applications will rise to the top. So dive in and don't be afraid. Sometimes people are afraid to take that step. And boy, have we had a pivot on a moment's notice. And Sarah Mills especially has had to just dive in and learn new technologies, a whole new virtual platform for developing for changing our conference from in-person to virtual in about a month's time. So part of Sarah's brand is curiosity and fearlessness, and I hope all of you will take that as a theme for yourselves too. All right, thanks everyone.